welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 230. And on this episode of the podcast, I am going to be talking about what exactly is going on with the New England Patriots when it comes to the quarterback position. Heading into Monday Night Football against the Bears, the reports were that quarterback Mac Jones was 85 to 90% healthy from his injury, a high ankle sprain, and then right before kickoff, he was announced as a starter. What preceded is something we've never seen before. Mac Jones played 3 drives on offense, going 3 of 6 with 13 yards passing and an interception, and on the very next possession after the pick, the Patriots went straight to backup Bailey Zappe, who won 2 blowout games in a row against the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns, and it felt like a movie because once Zappe entered the game, the Bears' 10-point lead immediately went away and the Patriots led 14-10. It felt like the Patriots made the right choice, and then they fell apart. The Bears scored 23 unanswered points in a row, winning the game 33-14. Zappe himself threw 1 touchdown with 2 interceptions and a fumble. So now there are serious questions about not only who the starting quarterback is, but if either Mac Jones or Billy Zappe are any good at all. After the game, Patriots insider Phil Perry asked Belichick if Mac was benched for his performance, and Bill Belichick said that was not what it was for. What he's saying this was the plan the entire time, and if the game was not a blowout, Jones would have re-entered. If you sit a quarterback after he plays bad and makes a mistake, that's a benching, no matter what you want to call it. If Mac had had 2 touchdowns in that moment with the 1 pick, he would have still been in the game. If Mac were playing well, he would have finished that ball game no matter what. This is Belichick and the Patriots telling you how they feel about the quarterback situation. They might end up going with Mac Jones for the rest of the season, and he might end up being just as good as he was last year, but this is how I feel about the current situation. There is no way that Mac Jones is going to be with the Patriots long term because of what they just did to him. They embarrassed him on Monday Night Football. He got benched and immediately heard the crowd cheering for his replacement. That is not a good feeling. He is going to remember that moment. Right now, he's going to say all the right things. He's going to act like the perfect teammate. But come time for him to sign a second contract with the New England Patriots, he is either going to try to get as much money as he possibly can, or he is going to want to leave town because I don't think he's going to deal with this nonsense for the next 5 to 10 years. This is the problem with Belichick being the voice of the organization, because what's best for the organization is for Mac Jones to develop. Bill Belichick is thinking about the here and now. He won't be here in 5 years. Bill Belichick will most likely not be the head coach of the Patriots in 5 years' time. Mac Jones could still be your quarterback, but he's ruining it. He's making it so that Mac Jones will not want to be a member of the Patriots in 5 years' time. That's what I believe. I believe Monday night ruined what any kind of future the Patriots and Mac Jones could have had together. As long as Belichick is the coach, Mac Jones will never be considered the long-term answer at the position. You don't ease a quarterback back from injury. He starts the game and he plays the entire game. He was benched because he made a crucial mistake. That's without bringing up the whole injury situation. I mean, Mac Jones recovered with his own time period without having that surgery that the team wanted him to have. He comes back and that's how you treat him? I mean, that's not how you treat someone coming back from an injury. You don't bench him in that situation right after he throws an interception. That's just not how you treat somebody you view as your franchise quarterback, so that's why I believe Belichick clearly does not view Mac Jones as a franchise quarterback. I also think Belichick doesn't even like the idea of a franchise quarterback. As for Patriots fans, this was a brutal loss for your team because you now don't feel good about either quarterback. I know all about the Zappe chance, but he played bad after getting the lead. How can you watch that game and think either Mac Jones or Bailey Zappe is the long-term answer at the quarterback position? And I know what some of you are thinking. Mac Jones had a really good rookie season. So did Robert Griffin III. Just because you had a really good rookie season does not mean you're going to have a great NFL career as a quarterback. When they drafted Mac Jones, I think we all all thought he was at the very least going to be an Alex Smith type quarterback, a guy who doesn't turn the ball over. Now it seems like he's turning the ball over an awful lot. I mean, the guy has 6 interceptions on the season. He missed games and he's only 3 behind the league leader in Matt Ryan, who has 9. Last year we all labeled Mac Jones as a game manager. Now it seems like he can't even manage the game. He's turning the ball over. If you're going to turn the ball over, you need to be one of those guys who's going to throw 35 to 40 touchdowns, and Mac Jones just ain't that, and he's never going to become that. The man at the head of this quarterback controversy is Bill Belichick, and Belichick has, of course, made some controversial decisions, the most infamous being the benching of cornerback Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. This, you could argue, is worse because he's messing with the most important position in all of football, the quarterback. I can't state enough how bad of a decision it is to bench your young quarterback coming off of an injury against the lowly Chicago Bears, who came into the game as one of the worst teams in all of football. We all went into that game thinking the Pats had possibly 2 better quarterbacks than Justin Fields, and we left it thinking he's better than both Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe, and I think the majority of that blame should go to Bill Belichick. The Patriots are next going to play the New York Jets on Sunday, and they are not the disaster they've been in the past. The Jets are 5-2 on the season. This, in my mind, is a must-win game, and you better decide who your starting quarterback is going to be. Now, ESPN reporter Field Yates today has reported that Mac Jones is going to be the starter for Sunday. Like it or not, this game might decide your season, and it might decide Mac Jones' future with the organization. If Mac Jones goes out on Sunday and has a bad game, let's say he throws 2 interceptions and never gets in the end zone, and the Patriots lose to the New York Jets, and they would fall to 3-5 with basically no chance of making the postseason. You could also have the absolute worst case scenario where what happens Monday night repeats itself on Sunday. I mean, what if the Patriots go back to Bailey Zappe in the middle of the game? That would be an absolute disaster. You better leave the game against the Jets feeling better about Mac Jones or Bailey Zappe. And this situation is not just messing with Mac Jones. Here's what wide receiver Jacoby Myers said after the game about Mac Jones. It's tough to see somebody who works so hard get that kind of treatment, and he later said that the comment wasn't about the coaching staff. I think deep down we all know he was talking about the coaching staff. He blames them for what position they put Mac Jones in and what position they put the team in. I mean, this team was on a high. They beat the Lions, they beat the Browns. We were starting to feel really good about it. And then not only do they get blown out by the Chicago Bears, they also escalate the quarterback controversy. Everyone, including myself, thinks that the Patriots won for the last 2 decades because they had the best quarterback in the history of football in Tom Brady. But the other reason they were able to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl is because they were able to avoid controversies. They were able to avoid the chaos. They were able to ignore the white noise. Even when there were scandals like Deflategate and Spygate, they were able to overcome those obstacles and win in the big time. They never talked about it. They never played into it. They were able to ignore all of that. They never reacted to being called cheaters. They never played into any of it. And now that Tom Brady is gone, they have become one of the most dysfunctional teams in all of football. They are just like any other football team. They are playing into these controversies. They are playing into a quarterback controversy, and that is something I never thought I would see with the New England Patriots. Think about it. Bill Belichick won't commit to Mac Jones, but that entire year in 2020 when he had Cam Newton, all year long it was Cam Newton is my quarterback. What is the difference here? Cam Newton was 1,000 times worse than Mac Jones has been this year. Mac Jones has not been very good, but I would say Mac Jones was very good last year, and if you really believe in a quarterback, you have to give him a chance to develop. It's not always going to be easy for that quarterback to develop. Remember how awful Josh Allen looked at the early portions of his career? Now he looks like the best quarterback in all of football because the Buffalo Bills stuck with him through the rough times, and now they have an MVP candidate. I'm not saying that's what would happen with Mac Jones, but you drafted him in the first round. You have to give him more than a season to see if he's going to be the starter, and a season in which he took you to the postseason. Monday night felt like it was Bill Belichick saying, I'm tired of the quarterback being the biggest position in all of football. It really seems like he's sick of always talking about the quarterback position, and I get it. It does get boring only talking about the quarterbacks and only saying the good teams have great quarterbacks, but that's the NFL today. You need a great quarterback, and you need to develop your quarterback and give him a chance to become great. The Patriots and Belichick are not giving Mac Jones the chance to be great, let alone the Matt Patricia of it all, the Joe Judge of it all. Ignore all of that. Just this season, they have not given Mac Jones the opportunity to come back from his injury and prove he's still that guy that he was last year. Let me also state this. I'm fine if you want to move on from a quarterback because you think he's average or not very good. I, for one, think Mac Jones is an average quarterback. I don't think very highly of him. I don't think he's a future Super Bowl winner, but I think if you're going to move on from him, you need to say you're moving on from him. This feels like a weird in-between. Like, how many more chances are you going to give Mac Jones this season? If every time he throws an interception, you're going to bench him, that's going to get old really fast. When it comes to Bailey Zappe, I've been thinking about this a while now. I think it's bad to have a young backup when you have a young starting quarterback. That's why I think Brian Hoyer was the backup, because you didn't want Mac Jones to feel threatened. And this situation is exactly why your backup should be someone like Brian Hoyer, because when you have a young backup, all we're thinking about is, well, what is the big difference between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe? You have this young guy who's throwing interceptions, and you have this other young guy who you could develop also, who might be better than Mac Jones. That's all people are imagining, because Bailey Zappe is young enough to be a franchise quarterback. When you have Brian Hoyer, he's just there to weather the storm when Mac Jones gets back from injury. Having a younger backup quarterback is a bad idea unless you believe that younger backup is going to be the future starter of your team. And maybe Belichick and Matt Patricia really do believe, and they have all along, that Bailey Zappe is a future starter in the NFL. Earlier, I compared Mac Jones to Robert Griffin III. Who did he lose his job to? Kirk Cousins, a guy they drafted right after they drafted Robert Griffin III. It doesn't make any sense to have a young backup when your starter is a young quarterback. You could have Jimmy Garoppolo or Brian Hoyer or Ryan Mallett when you have Tom Brady, because none of those guys can truly threaten Tom Brady, because he was the NFL MVP. He was an all-time great player. He's the greatest quarterback ever. This is just another example of how crazy sports can be and how quickly things can change. I mean, remember last year at the Pro Bowl, Mac Jones is dancing like he's made it, and now he's been benched on national television. It was very painful to watch that. I even watched the press conference after the game. He is clearly a guy who does not love his situation, but he is in this situation because he's a Patriot and he's going to say all the right things, but he must be ticked off. I mean, who wouldn't be ticked off in that situation, coming back from injury? The thing that makes me feel the most bad about Mac Jones is he has to pretend like this plan to play two quarterbacks in the same game was a good idea. He had to keep a straight face and say to Belichick, yeah, this is a great idea, buddy, when we all know he wants to be the guy. When a quarterback plays, he plays the entire game. You don't throw the ball 6 times and say, I've gotten enough work done here. I'm not ruling it out that this motivates Mac Jones to be the best version of himself, and he comes back and becomes that guy that he was last year, and the Patriots go on a bit of a run. I don't rule that out. But what I will rule out is any future with Mac Jones as the franchise quarterback of the New England Patriots. Unless Belichick leaves, I think there really is no future where he's here 5 to 10 years from now, where we all thought he was going to be that guy. I think Monday night was a signifier that he's not going to be that guy, because Belichick doesn't feel that way about him, and clearly the organization doesn't feel that way about him. It's my belief you have to let your young quarterback go through the growing pains, and it doesn't feel feel like Belichick is willing to do that, even though he has a team that is clearly not a Super Bowl contender. I will say this again. I do not care if the Patriots make the playoffs and lose in the first round again. What I want is the future of the quarterback to solidify itself, and this is a step backwards. I'm not even here saying that the Patriots should feel like Mac Jones is a long-term franchise quarterback. I just don't agree with the way they're telling him he's not one. Monday night was chaotic, and the worst thing about it was Belichick was not even willing to say why he did it. Was Mac Jones benched because he was bad? No. Was he benched because he was injured? No. Then why was he benched? You could handle Belichick saying nothing of value when they were winning Super Bowls. Now that the team is in turmoil, yeah, you want more explanation as to what's going on with the team. Why is this happening? What is the deal? You drafted this guy. Do you believe in him at all? There's nothing to make me believe that Belichick thinks that Mac Jones is a future franchise quarterback for the New England Patriots. And I believe now more than ever that he never wanted to draft Mac Jones in the first place. What really does bug me is that I do believe, like I said earlier, that Bill Belichick is not here for the long haul. I don't think he'll be the head coach of the Patriots in 5 years, but he's making moves that will affect the long-term future of the team. Like him not believing in Mac Jones could affect the future of the team. I mean, if Mac Jones leaves this team and ends up being good somewhere else, that will be on Bill Belichick. Now, it won't take away the Super Bowls. It won't not make him the greatest head coach in the history of football, but it will make his remaining years as the head coach of the Patriots an absolute failure, because at this point, Bill Belichick should help the team build to the future, because I don't think Belichick's ever going to win another Super Bowl. He should be looking to leave the team in a good spot when he retires. And I think he's doing the absolute opposite. I think he's leaving them in a bad spot, because if he leaves this team and they don't have an answer at the quarterback position, then they are absolutely nowhere. And that's the worst place to be in the NFL, because that's like a lot of teams. That's like the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, these teams that are constantly looking for quarterbacks. The Patriots' biggest advantage over the last 20 years is that they never had to look for a quarterback, because they had the answer in Tom Brady. I agree with a lot of people when they say it seems like Bill Belichick has no interest in actually developing Mac Jones. I think there's numerous examples of him not doing the thing that is in the best interest of Mac Jones, like, I don't know, playing Kendrick Bourne like he's a starting wide receiver when he's the best wide receiver on your team. I mean, that's clearly Mac Jones's favorite target. I also thought Mac Jones was great with Hunter Henry last year. Guess who barely gets any targets when he's in the game? Hunter Henry. I think that's on Matt Patricia in the offense. They're not using what Mac Jones did well last year at all. Don't get me wrong, I have issues with Mac Jones's game. Like, I don't think he can throw a consistent deep ball, but I do think they don't have great weapons around him. Like, I don't believe in Nelson Aguilar, and clearly they don't anymore, and I don't believe in Devontae Parker. When Mac Jones is in the game, you should consistently be using Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry. Those are the two best weapons that Mac Jones had last year, and they barely use them when Mac Jones is in the game. I'll end on this. The most shocking thing about this situation is that the Patriots did this to themselves. They are hurting themselves. I never thought they would be that kind of organization. I thought they were stable. I thought they were always going to make the right choices. I thought the post-Tom Brady years were going to be rough, but they were going to remain consistent. They were going to remain stable. They were going to make the right choices, and it has been anything but that. I was impressed that they made the postseason last year, but ultimately they got blown out by the Buffalo Bills, and now they look even worse than they did then, because they don't have an answer at quarterback, or they don't think they have the answer at quarterback. That's what will hurt the most. If they had the answer in Mac Jones, and they did something to tarnish that relationship. Monday night was entertaining and sad at the same time, and that's never been the New England Patriots. They've always been consistent. They've always been a steady football team, and they never hurt themselves. This is Belichick hurting the team. And on Sunday versus the New York Jets, we are going to find out if this will have a long-term impact on this season, if this will be the nail in the coffin to the Patriots. I don't think they're going to recover anyway and win a postseason game, but I still think they could be a 500 team. If it goes bad against against the Jets, they could be near the bottom because things will only get worse from there. How is Mac Jones ever going to be confident being the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots ever again? What is funny is the Patriots have turned themselves into the villain, and now everyone is rooting for Mac Jones. I think that has happened. I think people really do feel bad for Mac Jones. I, for one, hope he plays well on Sunday. But what I want most of all is to see him play the entire game versus the Jets. That's not too much to ask for. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.